Millionaire Arab's shocking visit to his housekeeper revealed a hidden truth that changed everything. The doorbell rang. Maria wiped her hands on her faded apron and glanced at the clock. It was way past the usual time for deliveries. She opened the door to find Khalid, the millionaire she worked for, standing there, his expression a mix of exhaustion and something deeper that she couldn't quite place. He was the kind of man who moved through life surrounded by luxury, but tonight, he looked lonely, as if all the riches in the world couldn't fill the emptiness he wore like a coat. "Maria, may I come in?" he asked, his voice softer than she expected. Of course, she let him in. Her small kitchen, filled with the aroma of simmering beans, became a refuge. They sat across from each other at the table, the glow from the hanging light casting soft shadows. The frigid air outside wrapped around them, heightening the intimacy of the moment. As they shared her humble meal, Khalid opened up, his words heavy with the weight of his wealth. "I've accomplished everything I set out to do. Yet, I find myself lonely. It's as if success has chased my friends away," he confessed, his eyes searching her face for understanding. Maria felt a pang in her chest. She understood loneliness. "I wish I could provide more for my kids sometimes, the bills feel like they're choking me," she replied, her own struggles spilling out like a river breaking through a dam. But just as she felt the warmth of connection, an old family secret sat between them, waiting to be unleashed. Memories of conflict and her immigrant roots clawed at her conscience. "Sometimes, it feels like the world wants to pit us against each other," Maria said, the memories clouding her mind. "But what if I told you that I might have more in common with you than you think?" Khalid leaned closer, intrigued but cautious, sensing the shift. "What do you mean?" The moment hung like a taut string, ready to snap. "My father came to America with dreams that turned into nightmares, lying buried under family pride and expectations," she revealed, her voice trembling. "He struggled in ways you can't imagine, dealing with prejudice. I've carried a heavy burden because of it." His eyes widened. "And yet, you're here, working hard for your kids. It's incredibly brave." A brief silence enveloped them, punctuated by the distant sounds of children laughing outside their innocent dreams untainted by worries. Khalid's wealth felt like a chasm between them. He was everything Maria aspired to be, but it was a world she couldn't penetrate without compromising. "What if we could help each other?" he suggested, the flicker of hope igniting between them. Maria hesitated, the weight of her secret anchoring her to her chair. Could she reveal the hidden truth about her family's past? Would it align their fates or draw them further apart? The air crackled with anticipation and a delicate tension thick enough to cut with a knife. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the clock ticked and the familiar night sounds enveloped them, Maria felt the weight of her decision pressing down on her heart. Would exposing her family's legacy shift their lives forever? The door to the unknown stood wide open, her future teetering on the edge of revelation. Or perhaps, it would lead her into a deeper solitude, underscored by Khalid's successful yet lonely life. What would happen next? Maria took a deep breath, feeling as if the air itself was charged with unspoken words. Her heart raced as she searched Khalid's face, trying to find the right moment to unleash the truth that had haunted her for so long. She began, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't just come here on my own, you know. My family was one of those stories you hear about. The American dream turned nightmare." Khalid's eyes softened, curiosity lacing his features. "What do you mean?" For a fleeting second, she wanted to pull back. The secret felt raw, but then she remembered the faces of her children, innocent, hopeful, full of dreams she fought to keep alive. My father was from a small village in Mexico. He came here with nothing, and did everything he could for his family. She felt tears prick the corners of her eyes, a wave of emotion overtaking her. But every opportunity came with a fight. He was discriminated against, humiliated, and I watched him struggle day after day. Each word echoed the weight of her childhood, a past marred with broken hopes, yet resiliently fueled by love. Khalid leaned forward, listening intently. "It shaped who you are," he said softly, acknowledging the depth of her pain. "To rise above that, it's heroic. But it's not been easy," she continued, pushing through the lump in her throat. "I've fought for each job, for every little moment of stability we've had. I've felt the frustrations, the exhaustion, the defeat. Sometimes, I wonder if it's all worth it." "Maria, you should be proud," he urged. "You've sacrificed so much for your kids. They'll carry your strength." They shared a moment, two souls intertwined by experience. Khalid took a deep breath, breaking the silence that had become such a comfort. "You mentioned your dreams. What are they? What would you want if you could do anything?" The question caught her off guard. She never thought about it in that way. "I just want my children to have options. I want them to dream without limitations. I want them to have the chance to sing in front of a crowd, to feel the grass beneath their feet without fear." A smile began to flicker on her face as she spoke. Khalid's eyes shone with understanding, but then a shadow flickered across his features. "And what about you, Maria? What makes you feel alive?" Her heart raced again. "I miss creating. I used to paint. Losing myself in colors was how I felt free. But I've put that aside. Life has pushed it all aside." His expression changed, a spark igniting as he contemplated what she had said. "Then let us return to that. Let us bring those colors back into your life. I have connections. I could help you organize an exhibit." Maria's heart skipped at the thought. "An exhibit? You mean yes," he interrupted, earnest. "You deserve that. Your talent shouldn't be buried by circumstances." But doubt crept in, lurking like a shadow. "Khalid, you're rich. I'm just a man who admires brave souls like you," he stated firmly. "Money can't buy genuine bonds. It can't take away the shared dreams we have." They stared into each other's eyes, both feeling the weight of their aspirations. Time stretched, filled with possibility and the fragile threads woven between their lives. Yet in the swirling emotions, doubt lingered on the edges of Maria's mind. What if trusting him was a mistake? What if their connection led to more heartache? Before she could answer her own questions, Khalid smiled gently. "Let us chase those dreams together." As they sat together, woven in a tapestry of shared hopes and dreams, the door to the unknown swung wider. But with every step forward, the question lingered: could they really bridge the gap created by their vastly different worlds? The night grew darker outside, and with each passing breath, it felt like they were at the precipice of something life-changing. Would courage lead them to transformation, or would it trap them in a web of consequences they never anticipated? Maria took a moment to collect her thoughts. The invitation from Khalid hung in the air, vibrant and wrapped in hope, yet her past whispered warnings in her ear. Was she ready to paint her dreams back into existence? She looked away, staring into the twilight outside, where city lights blinked like stars in an urban sky. "I don't want to get in the way of your life," she said slowly, feeling the need to protect her heart even as his kindness tugged at her. "Maria," Khalid prompted softly, "you're not a burden. You're a talent waiting to be expressed. This is about creating opportunities for you, for your children. You deserve to be seen." His conviction sent shivers down her spine. Was it really possible for her to step away from the shadows of her past? She felt her resolve start to crack, hope inching through the vulnerability. But still, fear loomed large. What if it doesn't work out? She whispered, almost to herself. Khalid's eyes held hers, steady and unwavering. What if it does? What if you find your voice again and inspire others in the process? In that moment, Maria felt a flicker of something she hadn't felt in years: courage. It felt foreign but exhilarating. She thought about her kids, their giggles, their waiting dreams. They were worth every ounce of struggle she'd faced. Maybe, just maybe, this was a chance not just for her, but for them too. Taking a deep breath, she let the words flow. I want to try. I want to see if I can find that part of myself again. Khalid beamed at her, as if she had just shared the most precious secret. Then let us make a plan. We'll start small. An intimate showing, maybe? Just a few friends? I can host it at my home. The idea took root in her mind, blooming in the sunlight of his belief. She imagined the colors spilling across canvases, the joy, the warmth of laughter, and for the first time in a long time, Maria felt a bubbling excitement. Let us do it, she declared, her voice steady. As they began to sketch out the details, laughter found its way back into their conversation. They tossed ideas back and forth, the mood lightening as the air between them thickened with shared dreams. They discussed materials and themes, colors that resonated with her experiences. More than just an exhibit, it became a celebration of voice for all the stories tucked away inside her. But as plans materialized, an unsettling thought began to creep back in. What if the ripples of their connection drew attention that neither of them asked for? What if people saw their friendship through a different lens? It was that nagging voice, the one that always seemed to surface when she dared to step beyond her comfort zone. Just then, her phone buzzed, startling her from her thoughts. A text from her sister flashed across the screen. How's it going? We're proud of you. The pride of her family brought tears to her eyes. She typed back, I'm trying. I think I'm finally going to paint again. Khalid caught the sudden gleam of emotion in her eyes. What is it? He asked gently. She smiled, wiping a tear away. It's just. I feel hopeful. But I also feel afraid. That's okay, Maria. It just means you're ready to take a risk. We'll face whatever happens together. As they finalized their plans, a sense of urgency wrapped around her like a warm blanket. She was no longer just a caregiver, a fighter, she was an artist, ready to unfurl her wings, but the ticking clock in the distance kept echoing in her mind. What would happen if their bond led to something deeper? Would she be ready to embrace not just her art, but the feelings growing alongside it? Each heartbeat echoed with uncharted possibilities, leaving her on the edge of anticipation. The moment had arrived for her to reclaim her narrative. But would the unfolding story rewrite everything she thought she knew about love and acceptance? As she sat beside Khalid, heart racing, Maria gazed into the unknown, teetering on the brink of transformation. What awaited them at the next turn? Maria woke the next morning to the soft glow of sunlight spilling through her window. She felt different. Lighter. The fear that had clung to her like a heavy coat was beginning to shed. Today was not just another day to survive, it was a day to create. As she moved through her morning routine, she couldn't shake off the flutter of excitement in her chest. Today is the start, she whispered to herself, a mantra she hoped would drown out her doubts. After getting her kids off to school, she grabbed her paintbrushes and sat in front of a blank canvas. She felt the familiar stiffness of fear creeping in again, but this time she took a deep breath and centered herself. Khalid's encouraging words echoed in her mind. You deserve to be seen. Opening her first tube of paint, she felt the rush of colors bursting forth. The first stroke was nerve-wracking, a leap into the unknown. But slowly, the strokes turned into swirls, and the swirls transformed into shapes. As she painted, the emotions she had bottled up for so long poured out in vivid hues. Each color represented a memory, each swirl a struggle she had faced. Hours sped by, and before she knew it, the canvas began to come alive. It was a reflection of her journey, chaotic yet beautiful. A mix of joy and sorrow, of dreams and realities. She stepped back, eyes wide with disbelief. I can do this, she murmured, feeling a sense of accomplishment fill her. As she cleaned up her supplies, her phone buzzed with a message from Khalid. "Can't wait to see your first piece. Our gathering is only a week away. We need to finalize the details." Maria's heart raced at the thought of sharing her work. What if they didn't understand it? What if they saw too much of her within it? But then again, what if it spoke to someone? The possibilities ignited a fire within her. She texted back, "I'm excited too. Just finished my first piece. I can't wait to show you. What do you think about the theme being more about personal journeys?" "It feels right." Khalid replied almost instantly. "Perfect. Personal stories resonate. They connect us. Can we meet tonight to discuss everything further?" Maria felt a spark of nervous energy. Tonight, it would just be Khalid and her two friends catching up over art. The layers of their connection felt rich and complex, but she couldn't deny the thrill of being able to share this moment with him. Later that evening, as she waited for Khalid, her nerves kicked back into full swing. Would he truly understand what she was creating? Would he see the parts of herself that she was unearthing, the vulnerable pieces she had almost forgotten existed? When the doorbell rang, her breath caught in her throat. She opened the door to find Khalid standing there, a smile spreading across his face. He looked as charismatic as ever, and somehow that made her feel both excited and anxious. "Maria!" he exclaimed, stepping in. "I can feel the creative energy in the air already." He took a moment to look around, eyes scanning the colorful chaos of her workspace. Before she could think, she blurted out, "What if they don't like it, Khalid? What if I've miscalculated this entire thing?" Khalid turned to her, sincerity etched into his features. "Art is subjective. What matters is that you are authentic. You must let go of your fear of judgment. Create for yourself, and the rest will follow." Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes. Could she really do that? Could she embrace her truth without the heavy chains of doubt anchoring her down? As they began to discuss the details of the gathering, a new thought emerged. Maybe, just maybe, this wasn't only about her art anymore. This was about discovering herself, sharing her truth, and perhaps even confronting every uncharted feeling that had grown between her and Khalid. Just as her heart settled into this realization, something unexpected happened. A knock came from the door, and a familiar voice echoed through the hallway. "Khalid? Are you in there?" Maria turned to Khalid, confusion painting her features. "Who is that?" His smile faltered slightly, as if he was processing something he hadn't planned on revealing. "It's my brother," he said, concern etched on his brow. Maria's stomach dropped. This was the last thing she expected. What would this unexpected visit bring? Would it shatter the fragile moments they had built? All her hopes and fears hung suspended in the air, leaving her teetering once again on the edge of something transformative. What would happen when she faced the realities of Khalid's life, and how would that change everything she thought she knew about her unfolding journey? Maria's heart raced as the knock echoed through the hallway, filling the space with an unexpected tension. The thought of Khalid's brother arriving sent her mind spiraling. What if he interrupts everything? What if he doesn't approve of me? Khalid hesitated, and she could see the conflict etched across his face. After a beat, he sighed, his shoulders dropping as he walked to the door. "Let me handle this," he said quietly, glancing back at her for a moment before opening the door. The man standing there was tall and imposing, his features sharp and striking. A quick glance confirmed he was indeed Khalid's brother. "Ahmed," Khalid said, attempting to inject a note of cheer into his voice, "what are you doing here?" "I was in the neighborhood," Ahmed replied, his eyes narrowing as he scanned the room. The flicker of surprise crossed his face when he caught sight of Maria, standing a little too close to the doorframe. Khalid's tone shifted. This is Maria," he introduced, looking between them, "my friend. She's an artist." Maria felt herself shrink a little under the weight of that introduction. Friend? It sounded nice, but it was so simple against the flurry of emotions swirling inside her. She offered a small wave, a polite smile brushing her lips, though inside she was churning with uncertainty. "Nice to meet you," Ahmed said, his gaze penetrating as if he were sizing her up. "I wasn't aware my brother had friends like you." Maria felt her cheeks flush. What was he implying? "I'm just trying to find my way back to painting," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. Khalid shot her a supportive glance. "This is exactly what we were just discussing, Ahmed. Maria is incredibly talented. She's creating a piece for the gathering next week." Ahmed's expression remained unreadable for a moment. Then, he crossed his arms and leaned against the doorframe. "Art? Is that really a serious direction for you, Khalid? Or is this just another one of your hobbies?" "Art can be serious," Maria chimed in, desire flaring in her chest. "It matters. It connects us." The three stood for a moment, the air thick with unspoken tension. Khalid looked back at her, a reassuring smile on his face, but there was a shadow of discomfort in his eyes as he faced his brother. "Besides," Khalid continued, his tone shifting defiantly, "this is more than just painting. It's about personal stories and expression. Something you wouldn't understand." "Oh?" Ahmed raised an eyebrow, clearly unamused. "You really think pouring your feelings onto a canvas will change anything? You should focus more on reality, on building your future." Maria's heart sank at the harshness of Ahmed's words. She didn't want Khalid to feel that pressure, nor did she want him to dismiss the value of what she was trying to create. "But sometimes, art is the only way to face reality," she said softly, trying to weave her voice into the flow of their escalating conversation. The atmosphere in the room shifted, as if Maria had triggered something deep within Khalid. He opened his mouth, ready to fight back, but a flicker of doubt lingered in his eyes. "Let us not make this about me, Ahmed," Khalid finally said, his voice even but pointed. "Maria deserves a chance. We all need something that makes us feel alive." For a moment, silence followed, each person grappling with unspoken expectations. Maria felt herself caught in a strange limbo, an outsider navigating a world she barely understood. The weight of Khalid's brother's disapproval loomed large, and a rush of fear swept over her. Was it possible that everything she had just begun to create stood on shaky ground? As Ahmed finally turned to leave, his expression a mix of indifference and disapproval, Maria felt a rush of panic. She didn't want to lose what had just begun. She wanted Khalid to fight for it, to stand by her in the face of doubt. "Khalid, wait," she said, a sense of urgency gripping her voice. "What if this is more than art? What if it's the stepping stone to something bigger for both of us?" Khalid glanced back at her, confusion clouding his features. But hidden beneath that moment of uncertainty, there was a hint of understanding. It was as if the storm swirling inside him mirrored her own, both battling against the raging winds of their realities, but time was slipping away. The door closed behind Ahmed, and the air felt somehow heavier. The resolve to confront these new dynamics lay before them, begging to be unraveled. "Maria," Khalid started, but the weight of his brother's judgment hung thickly in the air, and she could feel the wall rising back up between them. What would this mean for her art? For her friendship with Khalid? Would she have to choose between her passion and a reality she never wanted to face? The uncertainty loomed ominously as their eyes locked, both realizing the deeper implications of what was unfolding, and with a heart so full of hope yet wavering with doubt, she whispered, "Khalid, can we talk about us? Because I believe there's more to everything happening here." The moment mute with tension, a new chapter of their story looming just beneath the surface, waiting to unravel. Khalid hesitated, his breath hitching slightly in his throat at Maria's words. She could feel the air around them vibrate with uncertainty, mixed with an undeniable spark of something deeper. Was it hope? Or fear? She wasn't sure anymore. "Talk about us," he murmured, as if the weight of her request had settled into the room, anchoring both of them in a moment heavy with unspoken truths. Yes, Maria urged, stepping closer, her voice low but fierce. I mean, Ahmed doesn't he really know us? He doesn't he see what we're building here? She paused, letting her gaze connect with his. But I see it, Khalid. I feel it. He ran a hand through his hair, a habitual move that revealed his tension. You don't know how complicated this is for me. My family, my future, it all feels like it's on the line. But what about what we're building? Maria pressed, her heart pounding as she fought the rising tide of anxiety. Doesn't that count for something? I don't want to hide. Not from your brother or anyone else. Khalid sighed, his frustration palpable. It's not that simple. You're talking about a lifetime of expectations, and I can't just throw that away for what? For something real? Maria's voice broke, the desperation spilling over. You feel it, too. You can't pretend it isn't there. He opened his mouth to respond, but the storm of emotion was brewing within him. Instead of words, he took a step closer, as if instinctively drawn to her. She felt the connection intensifying, the air thickening with possibility. She had come this far, and she wasn't about to retreat now. Look, she said softly, searching his eyes. Art isn't just what I do. It's who I am. Maybe it's the same for you. Maybe this is our way of facing those expectations together. Our canvas. For a moment, Khalid stood still, weighing her words. She could almost see the gears turning in his mind, the struggle between his loyalty to family and the pull towards her. And then he stepped back, running his fingers over his chin in deep contemplation. What if it doesn't work? He finally said, almost as a whisper. What if my brother's right? What if all this is just a distraction? Let us find out together. Maria's words were a vow, laced with courage. We owe it to ourselves to see where this leads. What if it's more than either of us expect? Khalid's expression shifted, the weight on his shoulders seemed to lighten, just a fraction. I want more than anything to believe that, he admitted. But I can't risk everything. You won't be risking everything if you fight for us. If you choose to live your truth. Her voice trembled but was resolute. We can create something magical, something that matters. You don't have to do this alone. Her vulnerability pierced through his hesitance, their shared emotions radiating between them like an electric current. Khalid looked at her with a mix of fear and longing, and in that moment, something began to shift. Okay, he breathed, the word barely escaping his lips. Let us see what we can make together. Before either of them could truly grasp the significance of that decision, Maria smiled, an honest, wide smile that lit up her face. And just as fast as that warmth surged between them, the weight of uncertainty still lingered, harsh and real, but it was a start. As they stepped back from the brink of fear and doubt, the gleam of possibility filled the room. The door may have closed on Ahmed, but in the silence that followed, a window cracked open. Perhaps this was the moment they could carve out their own path, one brushstroke at a time. But with Khalid's agreement hanging in the air, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that they were just at the beginning. Would they truly be able to withstand the waves of doubt? A trickle of worry snaked through her mind, because if one brother could cast shadows, how many more would follow? Let us start with your art, Khalid said, breaking her reverie as he glanced toward the easel in the corner. What do you want to say with it? Her heart quickened at the prospect, but as she looked around, the uncertainty crept back in. No longer just about art, this was about their future, a topic that terrified her. Everything, Maria finally replied, her smile slipping slightly. I want to pour everything into my art. If we're going to do this together, I want it to mean something. Khalid nodded slowly, his gaze focused, and Maria made a silent promise to herself. She would not falter. She would paint the story of their journey, of love against the tides of doubt. But as she reached for her paintbrush, she couldn't shake a growing dread. Would those closest to Khalid ever accept the path they wanted to forge together? In the quiet stillness, a flicker of resolution sparked within her, but there was still an ache for what lay ahead. Their story was only just beginning, yet shadows loomed large, waiting to take shape, and as Khalid stepped closer, she could feel the gravity of the unknown, a mix of excitement and a foreboding whisper clinging to her heart. Whatever comes next, she thought, I need to be ready. The canvas stretched before her like the horizon vast, uncertain. Would the paint save them, or was this a step too far? As Maria stood before the blank canvas, the paintbrush felt both foreign and familiar in her hand. She took a deep breath, letting the moment sink in, focusing on the rhythm of her heartbeat. Khalid's presence was electric behind her, giving her strength but also a weight of expectation. "What's the first color that comes to mind?" he asked, gently probing. "Red," Maria said, her answer bursting forth as if it had been waiting to be spoken. "It represents passion, but also danger. It's everything we're feeling right now." Turning around, she caught the intensity in Khalid's eyes, and for a heartbeat, the world around them faded. It's love and risk intertwined. He smiled softly, the tension in the air lightening just a little. "Then let us start there." With a steady hand, she dipped the brush into the vibrant red paint, feeling the texture glide seamlessly. As she began to spread it across the canvas, vibrant streaks emerged, bold and alive. Each stroke was like a heartbeat, echoing her hopes and fears. It was liberating yet terrifying, the first step in carving out their shared future. "Tell me what you're feeling as you paint," Khalid said, his voice wrapped in warmth. "It's like I'm unleashing everything I've kept inside. The pressure to conform, the fear of rejection, and the thrill of pursuing something real. It's all here." Maria gestured to the red strokes. "And it's messy, like life." As the color spread, so did her confidence. The brightness drew Khalid closer, and she caught a glimpse of his own uncertainty melting away. "See? It's working already." He stepped beside her, dipping his fingers into the paint and adding his own touch to the canvas. The red turned into hues of orange and yellow as they blended their colors together, a symbol of their collaboration and their growing bond. It was chaotic yet beautiful in a way that only comes from embracing difference. "Just like this, we need to blend our lives," he noted, a hint of excitement lacing his words. "If we can create art together, we can face anything outside these walls." Maria couldn't suppress her smile. "Exactly. We can push past the doubts, the expectations." But just as swift as her joy surfaced, the familiar worry returned. "But what if Ahmed sees this? What if he confronts us?" Khalid hesitated, his expression darkening. "My brother's opinions matter, but we can't let them control us." The fire in his eyes spoke volumes about the internal conflict he faced. "I won't let fear dictate our choices anymore." That certainty resonated within Maria. They were creating something genuinely theirs, and for the first time, she could envision a future that felt right. But as she glanced at the vibrant painting coming together, a flicker of doubt still lingered. What if the world outside wouldn't understand this shared reality they were forging? Just then, the door creaked open. Maria's heart raced, her breath catching as she whipped around. It was Ahmed, standing there with an expression she couldn't read. "What's going on here?" he asked, his voice a mixture of confusion and curiosity. The tension in the air felt suffocating. Khalid, still standing close to Maria, caught her nervous glance. She could sense his heartbeat sync with hers, a shared message of strength in togetherness. "Art," Khalid replied, the word a simple umbrella covering a whirlwind underneath. "Just art." Maria held her breath, every second stretching in the silence that followed. What would Ahmed say next? Would he perceive their connection as betrayal or as an intricate art piece woven from shared dreams? Maria's heart thudded against her chest as she waited for the storm to break. She couldn't help but wonder, would Ahmed tear apart their fragile creation, or would he find a way to embrace it? The next moment was everything. Would it shatter or strengthen their resolve? Ahmed's brow furrowed, and Maria could feel a wave of tension wash over the room. There was no denying the storm brewing in his eyes. Art? He echoed. Really? This looks more like a collaboration. He gestured to the mixed colors that blazed defiantly on the canvas, the mingling of reds, oranges, and yellows twisting into something wild yet beautiful. Khalid shifted beside Maria, his posture straightening, the air around them electric. It is, he said, his voice firm. Maria and I are working together. Creating something meaningful. The subtle protectiveness in his tone sent a jolt of warmth through Maria. Ahmed stepped further into the room, his gaze darting back and forth between the two of them. Meaningful? Or forbidden? His voice lowered to a whisper that echoed through the space, laced with judgment and disbelief. It's just paint, Ahmed. Maria found her voice at last, surprising herself. It's us finding a way to express our feelings. It's not just about colors, it's about so much more. She could feel her heart pounding in her chest, an urgency to make him understand. More than what? Your role as my housekeeper? More than my brother's expectations? Ahmed's words sliced through the moment, sharp and unyielding. Maria recoiled slightly. You know how people talk. How families should act. And this, whatever this is, it doesn't fit. Khalid stepped closer, a shield against the weight of Ahmed's accusations. We're not asking for permission, Ahmed. We're choosing our path. Our lives. Together. His voice was steady, but Maria could feel the intensity of his emotions behind it. It filled the room, a mix of hope and defiance that hung heavy in the air. What if I don't like it? Ahmed challenged, his arms crossing defensively across his chest. What if I decide to tell our family? What will they think if they find out? Maria's stomach twisted. The idea made her sick. She shot a look at Khalid, and in that moment, their gazes locked. Both of them were standing on a precipice, ready to leap but afraid of the fall. We can't be afraid of what they think, Khalid said, a hardness creeping into his voice. That's what's kept us from living our truth. Do you want to go through life hiding who you are? What you feel? Ahmed's expression softened just a little. The uncertainty flickered across his features like a shadow. You think this is easy for me? His voice trembled slightly, and for a brief second, Maria felt a pang of empathy toward him. I'm just trying to protect our family's reputation. But at what cost? Maria pressed, her heart racing. This isn't just about reputation. It's about connection. It's about love. You of all people should understand that. Silence enveloped them, stretching as they all wrestled with the implications of her words. The paint on the canvas seemed to glow even brighter against the harshness of the moment, a testament to their struggle. Finally, Ahmed sighed, rubbing his temples as if to ease the tension. I don't know. His voice came out weary, almost like he was pleading for understanding. Maria took a step forward, the sincerity in her voice cutting through the remaining tension. We can't go back to hiding, Ahmed. Not anymore. Can't you see it's hurting us all? Ahmed's gaze dropped to the floor, lost in his thoughts. Maria watched as his shoulders slowly sagged, the fight in him warring between protectiveness and the wish to support his brother's happiness. And if it changes everything? He asked, almost as a whisper. Khalid took a deep breath, exchanging a glance with Maria. Then we'll deal with it together. Whatever happens next, we face it as a family. The weight of Ahmed's decision lingered in the air, thick and palpable. Maria's heart raced at the thought of what could come next. She didn't know if Ahmed would embrace their truth or attempt to tear them apart. But one thing was clear, their lives were entwined now, and they stood on the brink of a new beginning or a devastating confrontation. Would they break through this barrier together, or would Ahmed's words become an unbreakable wall? The moment of truth hung before them, charged with possibility. The silence stretched on, thick and loaded with the weight of unspoken words. Ahmed's eyes remained cast to the floor, the internal battle evident in the tight lines of his jaw. Maria's heart raced, the seconds clicking by like a countdown to something momentous. She felt the pulse of the moment. Everything depended on his response. Khalid reached out, placing a gentle hand on Ahmed's shoulder. "We're not doing this to hurt you. Just the opposite. We want to be honest, with ourselves and with you." Ahmed's breath hitched as he raised his eyes. There was a storm brewing in them, a mixture of fear and conflict. "Honest? You think this can end happily? Look around, Khalid. Families don't just accept this." He looked pointedly at Maria, and she felt a dagger of hurt. "Maybe it's time to change that," Maria said, her own voice shaky yet unwavering. "Love shouldn't fit into a box defined by others. It should grow where it's nurtured, regardless of labels." The words hung in the air, fragile yet defiant. Ahmed's expression softened. A flicker of realization crossed his face. "And you think this can just happen? That the world will adjust to the way you feel?" "I don't know what the world will do," Khalid said quietly. "But I know what I want. I want to stand here with Maria, without shame. Without fear." The vibrancy in his voice ignited an unyielding spirit in Maria. "But what will it cost?" Ahmed asked, almost like he was bargaining with the universe. "You think our family will withstand this? The whispers, the accusations?" "They might," Maria said, forcing confidence into her shaky words. "But you'll be standing with us, with the truth. Isn't that stronger than whispered lies? Isn't your support one of the greatest shields we could have?" Ahmed paused, the tension in his shoulders relaxing just a fraction. "What if I can't support this?" There was a tremor in his voice, one that was both an admission and a plea. Maria felt it resonate within her own heart. The risk was there, looming large in the shadows between them. Khalid observed his brother, concern etched across his features. "Think about it, Ahmed," Khalid urged. "We've walked this earth together our entire lives. Family should be a space of understanding, of acceptance, even when it's hard. If we can't be honest with each other, can we even call ourselves family?" Ahmed closed his eyes, the weight of his own silence pressuring him. The vibrant strokes of color behind him, the paint still fresh and glistening, represented hope and dreams that seemed both fragile and resilient. Maria took a cautious step forward, her voice dipping soft yet strong. "Please, Ahmed. Don't shut the door on us before it fully opens. Imagine what could happen if you did." He opened his eyes slowly, meeting her gaze. "And what if it shatters everything? Then we'll pick up the pieces together," Khalid said, urgency echoing in his tone. "But the first step is to let love in, to break the fear's grip on our lives." The air was electric again, charged with anticipation. Ahmed took a deep breath, his chest rising and falling heavily. Maria could see him weighing options, wrestling with the possibility of a world turned upside down, and then, suddenly, the vulnerability broke free. Ahmed's eyes glistened with unshed tears, and a sigh escaped his lips deep and sorrowful. "What if I'm not ready?" "Then we'll figure this out together," Maria whispered, her heart aching with the depth of his struggle. A silence stretched, heavy with unvoiced thoughts, as hope flickered like the fire of a tiny flame. But would Ahmed step into the light with them or allow fear to hold him back? The room pulsed with uncertainty, and Maria felt that everything hung in the balance waiting on the fragile edge of Ahmed's next words. Could love prevail, or would tradition stand as an unyielding wall? Ahmed's brow furrowed, the struggle within him evident as he faced two worlds colliding. "I feel like I'm being torn apart," he finally admitted, his voice thick with unshed emotions. "Part of me wants to support you, wants to believe in this, but the other feels the pressure of family, of perception. I've been raised to think a certain way. Maria felt her heart squeeze in empathy. She stepped closer, vulnerability radiating from her. We all carry pieces of our upbringing, she said softly. But sometimes you have to take those pieces and create a new picture, one that honors who you truly are. His shoulders trembled slightly as he processed her words. His family's expectations clashed with the burgeoning feelings for his brother's friend, a woman embarking on an artistic journey fraught with risk. What if I fail? Ahmed's voice cracked, revealing the pain beneath his brave exterior. What if I lose you both? Khalid straightened up beside Maria, the resolve in his demeanor strong. You won't lose us. Family finds a way to adapt and grow. We're asking you to be a part of this. To accept that love can look different, can feel different. What if it doesn't fit? Ahmed whispered, searching their faces for answers. What if it tears us apart instead? Love is messy and complicated, Maria said, feeling empathy swell within her. But it can also transform us. You need only trust that there's strength in openness. No one's life is complete without accepting the different colors, the different truths that exist. Silence suspended their breaths as Ahmed battled his inner turmoil. The unyielding walls of tradition warred with the warmth blooming between Khalid and Maria. And there in that stillness a sliver of understanding flickered in Ahmed's eyes. What if I want to support you both? He turned to Khalid, his voice softer. What if I want to learn more about what this means for us? Khalid's face broke into a relieved smile, a flicker of hope igniting in his chest. Then we move forward together. Regardless of what others say, I'm here for you, Ahmed. Maria nodded, her heart swelling. It's about building something authentic, something that feels right. We can show our family that love doesn't conform to their expectations. Ahmed's features softened, the conflict still present but now intertwined with curiosity. Maybe his voice was quieter, the weight of tremors still evident. But, can we face the storm together? Without hesitation, Khalid replied, absolutely. We're not looking for struggles to divide us. We're looking for acceptance to unite us. A breath of clarity washed over Maria, enhanced by the vibrant canvas behind them, each stroke and blend of color embodying their desires, their fears, and the love that surged between them. Yes, Maria added, the strength of their bond igniting her spirit. Let us turn the doubts into a dialogue, into art that reflects the truth of who we are. Your support could make all the difference. We could reshape our story together. Ahmed swallowed hard, his shoulders slumping with resignation, but an ember of hope flickered within his gaze. Let us try to move forward then, one step at a time. Khalid, buoyed by Ahmed's willingness, stepped forward, wrapping a supportive arm around his brother's shoulder. That's all we can ask for, one step. In that moment, the barriers that had surrounded them began to crumble. The warmth of understanding breathed life into their aspirations, leaving a glimmer of possibility to hang in the air. At that moment, Maria truly felt the weight of acceptance shift. Maybe they would face challenges ahead, but collectively, they could navigate through any storm. Each of them held a piece of a shared dream: an artist, a businessman, and a brother ready to embrace change with open hearts. With renewed hope buzzing in the room, they turned their gaze to the canvas. Let us paint our truth, Maria whispered, her voice bursting with promise. Together, Khalid affirmed, the warmth of their beings igniting the future that stretched like the radiant colors before them. As each dipped their fingers into the paint, the brightness symbolized not just new beginnings, but the power to redefine love and family. The questions ahead remained, but with certainty blossoming in their hearts, they felt the thrill of taking the plunge into the uncharted territories of their lives. It was a pact formed in creativity and compassion, a canvas awaiting strokes of harmony against the tides of doubt. Now is the time to join our amazing community. You need to subscribe now to catch our upcoming exclusive stories that will inspire and transform. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment below to share your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let them witness the power of love and acceptance.